to today's podcast. I'm here with Rob of Raro Safari Tours, and we are exploring the outback of the Cook Islands, Rarotonga. And with Raro Safari Tours, it's more than just a Jeep that goes up into the mountains. It's a cultural experience where we learn stories and histories of the peoples that populated the Cook Islands over the years. And it's a very educational experience as well. So thanks for joining us on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
This podcast is sponsored by Far and Away Adventures. For over 30 years, I've helped travelers explore the destinations highlighted in this podcast. To have an expert plan your next vacation, contact farandawayadventures.com or check out the show notes. Well, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started with Raro Safari Tours?
Okay, so me and my wife come on holiday about 2 years ago. We're from Auckland, New Zealand, and I've had a love affair with this island for about 24 years. The first time I came here, my wife is from here, and I've always wanted to retire here. And this job popped up while we were here. And it was offered to me by my wife's cousin, who was another tour guide. He's now moved on, Papatita, and I've been doing it ever since. I love it. It's like, it's the first job I've ever had in my life that doesn't feel like work. Yeah.
And, did you know all the information that you share with people, or was there a bit of a learning curve for you?
There was a bit of a learning curve. So I learned the normal dialogue for the tours, but in the Polynesia we have a orator history. So I've been learning stuff along the way through other people that are coming on the tour, through the internet, and through talking with our elders, our rangatira chiefs, our wise chiefs, and they've been giving me information that I've implemented into the tour.
And how has that changed, the way that you present the tour? Because it's very interesting to hear about the histories and the culture aspect of it.
Basically, I've just added to what the original dialogue of the tour is. We do go in, because I've learnt things about the history, we do go a little bit more in depth. And the cool thing I love about the tour is that we talk about Polynesia as a whole, not just the Cook Islands. We talk about the relationships that we have with the other Māori of the world, the Māori, Mauhi, also our origins from northeast Taiwan.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much more to it. It's not just the Cook Islands. The Polynesians are out throughout the Pacific Islands, and they're all very integral and related to each other. So it's great that you kind of pull all that together.
Yeah. Love it.
Well, can you tell me a little bit about Raro Safari Tours? What types of things are you doing during a typical tour?
Okay, so we start off picking everyone up we go around the back roads of Rutaki. And with what was supposed to be the Sheraton Resort. That was the home of the biggest war we had here between the two villages of Hawaikura Arorangi and Taki Timu. We give the history of what happened with the Sheraton Resort. Then we go up into our only waterfall on the island, Papua Waterfall. And then from there we head around the back road, Arametua Road, made by Toi in the early 1100s. That road, Arametua, means Bautap base. Now, we do have two roads here. The main road is called Aratapu Road. You get to see how we survive here. Okay, the minimum wage was lifted last year from July 1st from $8.50 to a whopping $9.50. And out of nowhere, guys, they just lifted it to August this year to $10. And so we'll show you guys what we plant, what crops we plant, how we survive on such low wages.
Yeah, I noticed. So you'll see papayas growing, pineapple, and lots of people really live off the land here, and it's very rich soil.
Very rich soil. Yeah, like I showed you guys. On our truck, there were some papaya trees that were cut about 3 weeks to a month ago, chopped right down, and they're flourishing already with fruit.
Doesn't take long.
Doesn't take long here. Yeah.
You just need a bit of sun and a bit of moisture, I guess.
Well, we're lacking moisture at the moment, hoping that we get some rain.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, one of the highlights of the tour too is to really go off-road, and we are at that point.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about the bouncing around in the back of the truck.
Okay, so this is when we come up here, this is called Avatiu Valley. Now, we come up, if you carry on straight, you go up to the base of the mountain where people normally do the Cross Island Walk. But my boss, Sam Crocombe, the owner of the Safari Tour, made this this plateau here so that we could come in and have a good view of the Needle Rock. This is the highest point you can take a vehicle on the island, and it's as close as you can get to the Needle Rock without actually doing the Cross Island Walk. You're going to see a lot of our native plants here, the owl tree, the tree of life, coconut trees, the African tulip that tells us when the first whales get here for our whale migration. And you'll notice that we don't have much bird life here. So unfortunately, our government introduced the Indian minor bird to eat the insects because they were harming our coconut trees, and they killed some of our birds and bullied the rest off the island.
Wow, yeah. So are they doing anything to try to correct that, or is it kind of hard?
It's kind of hard, actually. Now, we do have another island called Atiu. Atiu is known as Enua Manu. They had a culling of the Indian miner for 12 years. It took 12 years to fully eradicate. So we need to do that here because their native birds have all returned.
Wow. Well, that's great. And I know a lot of people actually go to Atiu for bird watching as well.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
But here in the, on the safari tour, you really catch a glimpse of so much of the island, from the going around the ring road to going right into the depths of the valley here, and to see everything there is. But thank you so much for joining me on the podcast and sharing me a little bit about what you have to offer here in this heart of paradise.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks for tuning in. Discover your next unforgettable adventure at farandawadventures.com. Experience the world differently.